David Chen never expected that standing in his own hallway would feel like trespassing. But there he was, frozen like a stranger in his penthouse, listening to a sound he hadn't heard in 8 months. His daughter was laughing. The 36-year-old tech mogul had built an empire worth $3 billion. He'd revolutionized artificial intelligence. Forbes called him a genius. Wall Street called him ruthless. But none of that mattered now, because his 9-year-old daughter Lily was failing everything, and he had no idea why. 3 private tutors had quit in 2 months. The school counselor left voicemails he never returned. Lily's report card sat unopened on his desk, buried under acquisition contracts worth hundreds of millions. He told himself he was too busy. He told himself tomorrow. He told himself lies. Until today. David had come home early, something he hadn't done since his wife Sarah died 14 months ago. A canceled meeting, a rare gap in his calendar. He'd planned to grab files from his study and disappear back to the office where numbers made sense and grief couldn't find him. But then he heard it, laughter, real, genuine joy coming from the kitchen. He moved quietly down the hallway, his expensive Italian shoes silent on marble floors. The kitchen door stood half open. Through the gap, he saw his daughter sitting at the counter, her dark hair falling across her face as she bent over a notebook. Beside her stood Catherine Rodriguez, the housekeeper he'd hired 6 months ago and barely spoken to beyond basic instructions. "I still don't get it," Lily said, frustration creeping into her voice. "Why do we even need fractions? Nobody uses them in real life." Catherine smiled, a sad, knowing smile that carried weight David couldn't understand. She reached for an apple from the fruit bowl and a knife from the drawer. "Let me show you something," Catherine said softly. "Pretend this apple is a whole day, 24 hours, all yours." She cut the apple in half. "Now your dad works maybe 16 hours a day, right? Sometimes more." Lily nodded, her expression clouding. Catherine cut away 3/4 of the apple, leaving only a small piece. "This little part, this is what's left for you, 1/4 of his day, and most of that you're sleeping." David's chest tightened. "That's not fair," Lily whispered. "No, it's not," Catherine agreed, her voice gentle but firm. "But here's the beautiful thing about fractions, sweetheart. They help us see what we're really giving and what we're really keeping. They don't lie. They show us the truth." She pushed the small piece of apple toward Lily. "When someone gives you just a fraction of themselves, you notice, you feel it here." Catherine placed her hand over Lily's heart. "And that feeling, that's not your fault. That's not because you're not good enough or smart enough or lovable enough." Lily's eyes filled with tears. "Then why doesn't he want to be with me?" The question hit David like a physical blow. "Oh, baby," Catherine pulled Lily into her arms. "He wants to. He's just forgotten how. Sometimes when people lose someone they love, they run away from everything that reminds them of that person. And you, beautiful girl, you look exactly like your mama." David's hand gripped the doorframe. How did this woman, this near stranger, know things about his daughter he didn't? How did she see pain he'd been blind to? "I had a daughter once," Catherine continued, her voice breaking slightly. "Isabella, she was 9 just like you, same smile, same laugh." Past tense, David noticed immediately. "What happened to her?" Lily asked quietly. "There was an accident 2 years ago. A man was texting while driving. He ran a red light." Catherine's voice remained steady, but David could hear the ocean of grief beneath it. "Isabella was walking home from school with her father. My husband tried to push her out of the way, but she didn't finish. She didn't need to. They both died." Lily's voice was barely a whisper. Catherine nodded, tears streaming down her face now. "Both gone in a second, and I wanted to die too. For months I couldn't breathe without it hurting. I couldn't wake up without wishing I hadn't." "But you're here now," Lily said, studying Catherine's face with an intensity beyond her years. "I'm here because someone told me something important. Want to know what it was? Lily nodded. They said grief is just love with nowhere to go. All that love I had for Isabella and Michael, it didn't disappear when they did. It's still inside me, overflowing. So I can either let it drown me, or I can share it with someone who needs it. Catherine wiped Lily's tears with her thumb. Your dad has that same love inside him, so much love for your mom that he doesn't know what to do with it. So he runs to his office and his meetings and his deals, trying to outrun the pain. But he can't. Nobody can. David's vision blurred. His hand shook against the doorframe. Will he ever stop running? Lily asked. I don't know, sweetheart. I really don't know. If this story is touching your heart, please take a second to hit that subscribe button, drop a like, and leave a comment below telling us what you think so far. Your support means everything and helps us bring you more stories like this one. Now, back to what happens next. David stepped back from the door, his heart hammering. He moved silently down the hallway, out the front door, and into the elevator. As the doors closed, he caught his reflection in the polished steel. Hollow eyes, gray creeping into his hair at the temples. When had he gotten old? In his car, alone in the underground garage, David Chen, the man Forbes called unbreakable, put his head on the steering wheel and sobbed. The next morning, David did something unprecedented. He called his assistant and canceled everything. Board meeting, investor calls, the press conference for their new product launch, everything. Sir, the investors flew in from Singapore for this meeting. His assistant protested. Reschedule it. But, reschedule everything. He hung up and sat in his home office, a room he realized Lily had never entered. Why would she? This was his fortress, his escape, the place he hid from being a father. Through the window, he could see Lily's school across the park. He'd chosen this penthouse specifically for that view, telling himself proximity meant something. But she took a car service every morning while he was already at the office. She came home to an empty apartment and a housekeeper every afternoon while he worked until midnight. Proximity meant nothing if you were never present. David opened his laptop and did what he did best, research. But instead of market analysis or competitor reports, he searched for Catherine Rodriguez. What he found stopped him cold. News articles from 2 years ago. Mother and child killed in tragic accident. Drunk driver sentenced to 15 years. Photos of a memorial with hundreds of people. Catherine's face, destroyed by grief, supported by friends at a funeral. He found more. Catherine had been a teacher before the accident. 3rd grade, multiple awards for excellence. Parent testimonials calling her a miracle worker with struggling students. A woman who understood children, who saw them, who helped them flourish. After the accident, she disappeared from public life. No more teaching, no social media updates, just silence. Until 6 months ago, when she'd applied to be his housekeeper. David leaned back in his chair, understanding dawning. She hadn't just taken a job, she'd taken a lifeline. A way to be near a child again without the crushing weight of a classroom full of Isabellas. And his daughter, his lonely, invisible daughter, had been given a gift he didn't know how to give. Someone who saw her, someone who showed up. The intercom on his desk buzzed. Mr. Chen, your 10 a.m. is here. I canceled everything. It's Mrs. Patterson, Lily's principal. She says it's urgent. David's stomach dropped. Send her up. 5 minutes later, Principal Patterson sat across from him, a thick folder in her lap. She was a woman in her 60s with kind eyes and zero patience for nonsense. Mr. Chen, I've been trying to reach you for 3 months. I know, I apologize, work has been. I don't care about your work. Her bluntness caught him off guard. I care about Lily. Do you know she cries every day at lunch? Do you know the other children have stopped inviting her to birthday parties because she's always so sad? Do you know her teachers are worried she might be depressed? Each word was a hammer blow. She's failing every subject except art, Mrs. Patterson continued. Not because she's not intelligent, she's brilliant, but she's given up. She sits in class and stares out the window. When we ask what she's thinking about, do you know what she says? David couldn't speak. She says she's wondering if her father will remember she exists today. The words hung in the air like smoke. I've seen this before, Mrs. Patterson said, her voice softening. A parent loses a spouse and forgets they still have a child who needs them. The child starts to believe they lost both parents, one to death, one to grief. I don't know how to do this without Sarah, David admitted, the confession breaking something open inside him. Then learn, because right now Lily is drowning and you're standing on the shore watching it happen. After she left, David sat in silence. Outside, the city hummed with life. Inside, he felt hollowed out. He walked to Lily's room for the first time in months, really looked at it. The walls were covered with artwork, paintings of a family, a mother, a father, a daughter, always together, always smiling. In every single picture, they were holding hands. On her nightstand sat a photo of Sarah holding newborn Lily, both of them radiant. Beside it, a journal with a sparkly purple cover. David knew he shouldn't, but he needed to understand. He opened it. Dear Diary, I got a C on my spelling test today. I wanted to show Dad, but he was on a call. I waited for 2 hours, but he never came out of his office. I fell asleep on the couch. Catherine covered me with a blanket. Dear Diary, it's Mom's birthday. I made a card for her. I was going to leave it on her grave, but Dad said he was too busy to take me to the cemetery. Catherine took me on her day off. We sat there for an hour and I told Mom about school. Catherine said Mom could hear me. I hope she's right. Dear Diary, I wish Catherine was my mom. I know that's bad. I know I should only love my real mom, but Catherine sees me. She asks about my day and actually listens to my answer. She knows my favorite color changed from pink to purple. She knows I hate mushrooms. She knows I'm scared of thunderstorms. Dad doesn't know any of that. Sometimes I wonder if he even knows my name. David closed the journal, his hands shaking. He'd been so focused on his pain that he'd become blind to hers. He'd told himself that providing for her financially was enough. Private school, trust fund, this penthouse, all of it meaningless because he'd forgotten the only thing that actually mattered. Being there. That afternoon, David did something he hadn't done since Sarah's funeral. He picked Lily up from school himself. He stood outside the building, watching children pour out like water from a broken dam. Laughter, shouting, the chaos of childhood. He scanned the crowd looking for his daughter. When he spotted her, his heart broke again. She walked alone, head down, backpack dragging. Other children rushed past her to waiting parents. Excited voices, hugs, the ordinary magic of being picked up. Lily didn't even look for him. She headed toward the area where the car service waited. Lily, he called. She stopped, turned. Her expression shifted through confusion, surprise, and then something that looked like fear. Dad, did something happen? Are you okay? The fact that his presence terrified her, that she assumed only catastrophe would bring him here, was devastating. I'm fine. I thought I'd pick you up today. We could grab ice cream. You want to get ice cream with me? If you want to. Lily stared at him like he was a stranger, which David realized he was. Okay, she said quietly. They walked to a small ice cream shop 3 blocks away. David couldn't remember the last time he'd walked anywhere in the city. His driver took him everywhere. But here, on foot with his daughter, he noticed things. The flower vendor on the corner who waved at Lily. The bookstore with a window display that made Lily pause. The small moments that made up her world while he'd been absent. In the ice cream shop, an older woman behind the counter smiled. Lily, your usual. Yes, please, Mrs. Chen. No relation, just coincidence of names. But it struck David that this stranger knew his daughter's ice cream order when he didn't. And for you, sir, Mrs. Chen asked. What does she get? David asked quietly. Mrs. Chen's expression shifted to understanding. Strawberry with rainbow sprinkles and extra whipped cream. I'll have the same. They sat at a small table by the window. Lily ate her ice cream in silence, stealing glances at him like he might disappear. I'm sorry, David said. Lily looked up, surprised. I've been a terrible father. I've been hiding at work, pretending that's the same as taking care of you. It's not. You needed me and I wasn't there. You were sad about Mom, Lily said softly. Catherine explained. Catherine shouldn't have to explain. I should have talked to you about it myself. David set down his spoon. I was so scared of feeling the pain that I ran away from everything, including you. And that was wrong, so wrong. Tears rolled down Lily's cheeks. I thought you didn't want me anymore. I thought maybe I reminded you too much of her and that made you sad. Oh, sweetheart. David moved to the chair beside her and pulled her close. You do remind me of her, every single day. Your smile, your laugh, your kindness, all of it is her. But that's not a bad thing. That's the most beautiful thing in the world. Lily cried into his chest while he held her, and David let himself cry too. For Sarah, for the months he'd lost, for the daughter who'd been suffering alone. I talked to your principal today, he said when they'd both calmed down. She told me you're struggling in school. Lily tensed. I'm trying, I really am, but my brain just doesn't work like other kids. Your brain works perfectly, but you've been trying to learn while carrying a weight that would crush most adults. We're going to fix that, together. How? Well, for starters, I'm going to be home every night for dinner. I'm going to help with homework. I'm going to come to every school event. And I'm going to stop hiding from the fact that we both miss Mom and we need to learn how to live without her together. Really? Hope flickered in Lily's eyes, fragile as candlelight. Really, I promise. If you're still watching, you're amazing. Please don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, smash that like button, and drop a comment telling us how this story is making you feel. We love hearing from you. Now, let's see how this all ends. That evening, David came home at 6 o'clock. Lily nearly fell over in shock. Catherine was in the kitchen preparing dinner. She looked up, surprised. Mr. Chen, you're home early. I'm going to be home at this time every day from now on, he said. And please call me David. Catherine's eyes widened slightly. I need to talk to you, David continued, in private. They stepped into his office. Catherine stood awkwardly, clearly uncomfortable. I overheard you yesterday, David admitted, in the kitchen with Lily. Catherine's face went pale. I'm sorry, I overstepped. I know she's not my daughter and I had no right to. You saved her, David interrupted. While I was too broken to function, you showed up, you saw her, you loved her when I'd forgotten how. I just did what anyone would. No, not anyone. You did what I should have been doing, what I'm ashamed I wasn't doing. David took a breath. I want to offer you a different position, not as housekeeper, as Lily's full-time caregiver and tutor, triple your current salary, full benefits, your own suite in the apartment. Catherine shook her head. I can't accept that. Why not? Because Lily doesn't need a caregiver. She needs her father. Catherine's voice was firm. You can hire all the help in the world, but it won't matter if you're not present. Children don't need perfect parents. They need present ones. The truth of it hit David hard. You're right, he said, but I still want you here, as family, because whether we planned it or not, that's what you've become. Catherine's eyes filled with tears. I lost my family. I didn't think I'd ever have that again. Neither did I, but maybe we can build something new. Not a replacement for what we lost, but something that honors it. Over the following weeks, everything changed. David restructured his entire company, promoting his COO to handle day-to-day operations. He moved to a chairman role, working from home 3 days a week. He was there when Lily woke up, there for dinner, there for homework, there for bedtime stories. Catherine stayed, not as an employee but as the Aunt Lily never had. She taught David how to help with fractions by making pizza together, cutting it into pieces. She showed him how to quiz Lily on spelling words while they walked to school. She demonstrated that parenting wasn't about perfection but presence. Lily's grades began to climb, slowly at first then faster, but more importantly her smile returned, real and bright and constant. 3 months later, David stood in the kitchen doorway again, watching the same scene, Catherine and Lily at the counter. Homework spread between them, but this time David didn't hide. "Can I help?" he asked. Lily's face lit up. "We're doing word problems. They're super hard." David sat down beside his daughter. "Then we'll figure them out together." Catherine smiled and quietly moved to start dinner, giving them space but staying close. As David helped Lily work through the problems, he realized something profound. The most valuable thing he'd ever built wasn't his company or his fortune. It was these moments, this presence, this love. That night after Lily was asleep, David found Catherine on the balcony, looking out at the city lights. "Thank you," he said simply. "For what?" "For showing me what I was too blind to see. For loving my daughter when I'd forgotten how. For saving us both." Catherine turned to him, tears on her cheeks. "You saved me too. You gave me a reason to wake up again, a place where my love could go. I'll never stop missing Isabella and Michael, but being here with you and Lily, it's given my grief a purpose." They stood together in comfortable silence, two broken people who'd found healing in the most unexpected place. 6 months later, Lily brought home a report card, all A's and B's. Her teacher's note read, "Lily has shown remarkable improvement. Whatever you're doing at home, keep doing it." David hung the report card on the refrigerator with a magnet. Beside it, Lily had drawn a new picture. 3 figures holding hands, a father, a daughter, and a woman labeled Aunt Catherine. Not a replacement family, not a substitute for what they'd lost, but something new and real and earned through showing up, through choosing presence over pain, through learning that love multiplies when you share it. David learned what many people never do, that the most important work isn't done in boardrooms or on balance sheets. It's done in kitchens and at homework tables and during bedtime stories. It's done by showing up, even when it hurts, especially when it hurts. The invisible maid had taught him the most valuable lesson of his life. Not because she was paid to, but because she understood that healing comes from transforming our grief into grace, our pain into presence, our loss into love. And in teaching him, she found her own redemption. Proof that even in our deepest darkness, there's light waiting if we're brave enough to share what we have with those who need it. Sometimes the people who save us are the ones we never expected, the ones we overlooked, the ones who were there all along, waiting for us to open our eyes and finally see. Thank you so much for watching this story to the end. If it touched your heart, moved you, or made you think differently, please subscribe to our channel, give this video a like, and share your thoughts in the comments below. What lesson will you take from this story? We'd love to hear from you. Until next time, remember, the greatest wealth isn't measured in money, but in the moments we choose to show up for the people who need us most.